Yeah. It doesn't always go according to plans. Sometimes it just has to happen. So, hey guys, I think you're joining us now. We're just talking about how, despite the very best plans and intentions, things don't always go to schedule. And Pet and Parent Longevity had a small hiccup this morning, meaning that we needed to just change our times for coming live. So apologies to anyone who was trying to meet us at the usual time frame. That is our usual time, and we will be there every time we possibly can. But today something happened and we were bumped out of our scheduling. So here we are, and joining us just for our Raw and Unplugged, How Not to Die Young. So if that's the topic that resonates with you, then, enjoy.
Well, none of us do, right? None of us do. I was listening to a podcast. I'm reading a book that kind of goes along with it, and it was talking about like the top killers in humans. I mean, call it what it is, the top reasons for death. And what I thought was actually really interesting, and obviously why we do this, is that it was just all about how exactly what we're talking about, how not to die young. The fact that four out of the top 5 killers in humans are preventable diseases. So one of them is accidental death. But then you have things like, neurodegenerative diseases. So, right, that's going to be like your Alzheimer's and whatnot. You have cancer, you have heart disease. Heart disease is the #1 killer in humans. I think this goes often overlooked because it's often thought of as like a Western country problem.
Right.
It's actually worldwide.
Is that, do you think, a result of the sort of standard American diet infiltrating other cultures on a wider scale now? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, diet is, if I can be as bold to say, the #1 key contributing factor to heart disease. Genetics can play a small role, but it's very small. It's very small. It's really about lifestyle, right? As with anything, genetics can play a role. But like they say,
but we know we've got at least control over that situation. And then even with the genetics, there's epigenetic control that we can use, food as medicine, and a bunch of other strategies.
100%. Yeah, I think we can't really use that excuse anymore. I think people use that excuse, and not to say like, oh, they used it as an excuse to like live a bad lifestyle, but like it's been kind of used as an excuse in the past to kind of disempower people, maybe accidentally.
Yeah.
Knowing.
Yeah, because if you're told there's nothing you can do because it's just your genes, then you kind of give up and you just believe that it's just your genes. And now you're not fighting in the game. Like, you're just sort of sitting on the sidelines waiting for that, goal to get scored against you. So,
yeah. And so the saying, I think I've said this before on here, I did not make this up, but it's genetics load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so true. And knowing that we're all going to die, I can raise my hand and say, I'm going to die someday. We're all going to die. And I love what you said a couple weeks ago. What was it that you said about choosing?
Oh, choosing your own finishing line?
Choosing your own finishing line. That's so powerful. That's so powerful. You don't see like old age as one of the top 5 killers. Like, it's not, right? Unfortunately, most of us aren't just like dying peacefully in our sleep, which means that most people, and this is really key, most people, unless you fall into that accidental deaths category, most people don't have a pleasant last few years. If you're struggling with one of these chronic diseases, that really takes a toll. It really does. So it's not just about, it's about choosing that finishing line, but it's about choosing about how you're going to finish, right?
Yeah. Finish on a good note. Finish on a high. Finish on hey, life was amazing. I accomplished so many things. I never felt restricted or held back. My family is here, or people that I care about, or what, But I mean, it's almost then you going, okay, well, there's my final thing, and I check out, because rather than, some giant wrecking ball coming along and smacking you out of the picture, right? So, I mean, not to talk about the accident and injury, that's not what I was talking about there, but like one of those diseases, and then you're lying there, this sort of broken mess for the last bit. That's not, no. That's right. And let's just go back to these are preventable, right? Because that's the thing. They're preventable.
And reversible. Do you know that heart disease can be reversed? Like, that's pretty profound. That's so profound. Diabetes can be reversed. I mean, we are moving into a time that's really exciting, to be honest. Because
I mean, I talk regularly about it's a whole new health paradigm. We're so conditioned to the health paradigm of you will get sick somewhere, and when you do, you take some medication that alleviates the symptoms and possibly stops things from progressing. But are you truly healing? No, probably not. And then the expectation that you will just accumulate more health conditions, health limitations as you get older, and eventually one or together they'll take you out of the game. Right. And that's not what science shows us at all. That's what we have been conditioned in 100 years of pharmacological medicine and prior to pharmacology being the modality of medicine. Like before allopathic was a thing, we had a whole range of different available medical pathways to take. And yes, some of them were pretty weird. Like, I'm not saying that they're all great, but I'm saying that this one came in and dominated the space and made us all believe that that was the only one that was available. And when you look at the cells and you look at biology and you look at the immune system and you look at how nature affects all of that, the natural products, the things in the plants, the compounds in that, forces of nature like electromagnetic spectrum and the sun, like all of these things are working to facilitate health and regenerate the body. And unlike a chair that sits in a field over time and decays down, we don't decay down. We revitalize, we get new cells, we get replacement things, injuries heal, wounds recover, and so on. So that's a mindset shift that hasn't really made mainstream yet. And I think that's why a lot of what we talk about just sounds too good to be true, because it's in the realm of sci-fi still for a lot of people.
Yeah, totally. And that's a really interesting point about that it's kind of been narrowed down to one approach. And even if so the current approach doesn't address prevention, right? It only addresses treatment. So the 7 pillars, the lifestyle pillars, are really the preventative piece. If you do end up developing one of these conditions, even if you decide to take a conventional approach, with medications and whatnot, the point is you have other options as well. You can also work on your nutrition. You can also add in, natural supplements. You can also add in X, Y, and Z, right? There's an insane list of alternative therapies or just lifestyle modifications. And I think that's really what's important for people to know, is you do have options, and it shouldn't just be a one modality.
No, it shouldn't. Even my first aid thing the other day on the weekend, like there was conventional first aid, and then there was natural plant first aid and therapeutic recovery and emotional support first aid, and all works together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, never mind, I won't go down that road.
I just want to look at that, what you said again, for one more minute, because I think that really is important. So the 7 pillars that we talk about for longevity and juvenescence and recovery and health, and establishing and maintaining that optimized homeostatic form where your body's just doing all the things it's supposed to do without limitation. They also work when something has begun to manifest in your body. Symptoms are there, clusters are happening, and you may or may not have a diagnosis. You may be a little bit down the pathway. You may be at stage 2, 3, or 4, right? But those same 7 pillars that protect you up front also help support you come back to that place of healing. And then you can also bring in some of the bigger arsenal, if you like, of regenerative therapies, regenerative medicine, even conventional things that are heavy hitters. But people who do, for example, chemo, I would call a big heavy hitter, right? It's not a natural product. This is a traditional, conventional or allopathic model that does a lot of destruction. right? But when you have people choosing chemo in conjunction with those 7 pillars, you get far better results because their body is being nourished at the same time. They recover better. There's less chance of metastasis down the line and other things. So even if you're going to combine it, it's still bringing you greater benefit than using those things alone. So it's not just prevention. It is also on that side of, well, reversing and healing. And I think
it's a really good point. And that's a really good example. I don't know if I ever told you this. I actually worked on a research study looking at the effects of fasting combined with chemotherapy for cancer. And this is research coming from Dr. Walter Longo's lab. And what we're finding overwhelmingly is that when the body's in a fasted state before going into chemo, the healthy cells protect themselves when you start to fast, and the cancer cells don't, because they just go. And then you throw that modality on there, and then the healthy cells have like this little shield over their heads, and then it targets the cancer cells better and keeps the healthy cells better. Like, how incredible is that? To your point, that you can combine natural therapies with conventional therapies and get an even better approach. And obviously we know this with, oh my gosh, just like so many other areas. But yeah, wow, so powerful. And I know that we're just going to continue to see this unfold even more, this pairing. But in the meantime, we know that the power of lifestyle and the power of natural medicine is just...
Yeah, and this new health paradigm of regenerative approaches and functional, getting down to the root cause, it is where medicine is going. We're not going backwards to that previous model. It's not coming back. It just hasn't disappeared yet because not enough people know about this one. But this is getting stronger and stronger and stronger every day. So sci-fi medicine and almost like, just wave some kind of device over you that does all your diagnostic, that's not so far into the future. Being able to take a couple of neurotropics or some, like they're really big hitters, and you'll find before too long, this is my prediction here, that you'll go into your GP on an annual basis to get a top up of stem cells, right? Of your own stem cells that were harvested when you were young and kept safely for you, transfusion, and then you would have that topped back up, and then you're primed again for another year to go ahead fully protected with youthful factors and healing. So it's not far away. It's not far away, but we just have to get the word out that this model is scientifically based and it's here to stay.
It's an exciting time. It's absolutely an exciting time. And while we started this conversation a little bit dark, I'm like,
yeah,
it's like, at the end of the day, I always come from people listening. I always come back to this message of hope, that this is a time where you can take so much control over your health, over your pet's health, and there's a lot more on the horizon. And I plan to be here for a really long time, living my best life and being around for that stem cell top up. So see you in 100 years.
100 years.
Well, on that note, let's wrap it here. What do we have going on? What do we want to, is there anything we need to bring attention to, mention?
Well, if there is, it might have to be you, because I have a client to see in a minute, so I'm going to jump off.
All right, guys. Subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're enjoying these lives, subscribe to us on YouTube. We go live on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 9:30 Eastern, and tomorrow we'll be sending you pocket coaching. So until then.
See you guys.